Okay, where am I looking? On the left. Okay, so RMC. What is going to help you choose who's going to replace Adrien Rabiot tomorrow? And maybe a lighter question. We saw the Bonnet jersey was brandished this afternoon, and how did that feel for you? In terms of the fact that Adrien can't play, I've got options up my sleeve, but I'm not going to go into details because you know who they are. It's not the time nor the place. But if you have info about a specific info about the Portuguese team, I'm all ears. And yes, it was a symbolic photo that we took. It is important for us to not forget where we come from, each and every member. And for me, I started with an amateur club in Bayonne in the Basque region. It's not just a rugby area, it's also a football region. And therefore, I was happy that all of the people, the technical staff, the chairman, and the players were able to take this photo. Dominique from Le Parisien, and you weren't able to look at squad rotation for the third game because of the circumstances. So how are you feeling in the group before this quarter final? Yeah, good, good. Good because of the result for the last game, and we're going to try and optimize the rest period. We had 4 days, and a lot of work for the medical staff, but we're doing everything we can to optimize the 4 days that we have and for those who played, we are following their rest periods. Today it's the eve of the game, and we're also limited by the time and but by the pitch availability. But from a physical fitness point of view, even though there are always little niggles and there are some players who feel better than others, we have always been able to bring it to every single game. Maybe not so much the third game, but where there was a lot of intensity. Hi, Didier over here. The French national team has shown that they're solid down the back, especially with the attackers coming back to help the defenders. Is this your success story that you've drilled into them, that they need to come get down the back and defend? No, I didn't have to drill anything into them. They do it. The attackers, the forwards, they obviously you could probably find a couple of specific cases where that wasn't the case. It depends on what the opponent's doing with the ball as well. But above and beyond just the fact that we are a very strong down the back, which is indispensable in a competition such as the Euros, we also have good control of the games, which is normally better than our opponents and better than what we have been doing in the past. So that's interesting. And obviously, we've also got the number of chances that we're able to create. And maybe the negative point is that we're struggling a little bit in front of the goal. It's been enough to get us to where we are now, but given that the level is getting higher, and I'm not saying that Portugal are a better squad than Belgium, it's up to you to make your own decisions on that. But maybe if we could be better in front of goal, that would be important for us. From Le Monde, you just spoke about your control of the game. In previous games, you had possession. You've had possession in your previous games, but actually Portugal is the team that has had the most possession in the whole of the competition. It's going to be a power struggle. That's as simple as that. The Portuguese team has the capacity to keep possession of the ball and obviously likes to attack rather than defend. So it will be a power struggle. We found ourselves in this situation, and tomorrow will go as it goes. We've got the Netherlands. We saw the Netherlands who, when they played against us, they were a lot more cautious than they tend to be. The same can be said about Belgium. So maybe Portugal will also have the same attitude and be a little bit more cautious tomorrow. Once again, if you've got any info, I'm all ears. But we are looking at a new Portuguese team that can I know Roberto Martinez very. In fact, I have a lot of respect for him, and I know what he likes to do. He likes shaking up his formation. Sometimes a three-man back line. Sometimes he throws in that extra defender. So we're obviously going to be looking at having a hand over the game as much as possible, so that we can be imposing on our opponent. Emmanuel for AFP, Kylian Mbappe, Antoine Griezmann, your captain and your vice captain, are maybe not on the top of their game. So how are you going to find the fanfare that's necessary to maybe give them that boost that they need? This is your analysis today, but even if I don't know. Kylian, there was a before, and in the prep he had an issue, and let's not forget that he broke his nose. It's no mean feat, and he feels good. And the fact that he's getting stronger and stronger, we will need the best Kylian Mbappe tomorrow. Yes, is important, and for Antoine, in from a volume perspective, he's got stats that are still smooth. For the more technical aspect, maybe how efficient he's being. He's maybe not at the top of his game. It's not the others that are going to offset for him or make up for this. We're going to need all of our players to be at the top of their strengths to beat Portugal. Alessandro Ertelene, do you think that the Portugal team of today is a stronger team if we compare it to the team that you met in the final in 2016? It's not even a question that's crossed my mind. Good team. They did what they needed to do. It was 8 years ago, done and dusted. It was difficult. It was painful for us because obviously we wanted to be European champions, but now we're playing for a place in the semi-finals. Portugal is still as strong because at the beginning of the competition, we know that Portugal was one of the favourites. It is a team that is legitimate with regards to their ambition to be European champions. But we're in the quarter-finals now. Obviously, everyone's got their own analysis of what happened in the group stages. This is a weak group. This is an easy group. This is a stronger group. But now when we get to the quarter-finals, it's only the best of the best. But there's only one ticket for the semi-finals, and we hope that we'll be the one bagging it. Didier over here, Canal Plus, Kylian Mbappe spoke about Antoine Griezmann and the fact that he needed to be supported in this time. He's not depressed or anything. I don't know what the analysis that you have, but obviously I'm going to tell you. It wasn't really about Antoine, to be honest. It was, do you think that we're being a little too harsh on Marcus Thuram? And what do you think about his performance? I'm not here to judge what you're writing or what you're saying. It's your job. I can agree. There are people who will agree, who won't agree. That's fine. For me, what's important is what I'm saying to my players, and that's between us. If it has an impact on you, if you're too harsh, not harsh enough, that's up to you. If we come back, you all agreed that our huge issue was the fact that we weren't strong down the back and that we weren't conceding goals, and now you found something else to criticize, which obviously makes sense because, but so maybe you're going to criticize Antoine. Everyone is going to be, I don't know. If this wasn't the case, then you'd get bored and you had nothing to write about. So be you writing about Antoine or Marcus, there are positive things to say, and there are things, and I've told them this as well, that they can work on. But that's also done with the positions, what I'm asking of them, the players that are on the pitch with them. It's not just about them. Hi, Didier Baptiste for RTR. Why have you not looked at squad rotation? What is your reasoning behind this? Is it because of the opponents? I don't, to be honest, I don't rotate for the sake of rotating. You're right, I haven't really changed up the squad that much. And given the intensity of the games, it's not easy to bring people on. I saw this in the first couple of games. Koromani came on as a sub, and he was great. And for those who are on the pitch, in my opinion, if they're not showing me that they're tired or fatigued, don't really feel the need to take them off. I'm not going to make subs just to make subs. But if I think that a substitution is necessary, I won't hesitate to do so. But with the games that we've played, no, I haven't used the 5 substitutions. Didier over here, do you think that Cristiano Ronaldo in 2024 is a threat up front for the Blues? Oh, yeah. He's always been a threat because he has the ability and not just the motivation, that drive within him. He's looking for the win. He can be a decisive player. He can score goals. He's got all of that on his side, and that would always be the case, even though he's a little older now, but he is still a highly competitive player. Clément for SoFoot, you haven't actually been knocked out after 90 minutes. Every time that you've been knocked out, the last time was against Germany, actually, it was after extra time and or penalties. Is this something that you've been talking about? Do you think that it is an issue? Do you think that it is a team that is boring? And is this something that is of concern to you, the fact that the team is boring? So the first question, what was the first question? So, yeah, we're just having a chat here. Yeah, we look at feedback after competitions and through the games. Some of us, we like each other a bit more, and yeah, we have chats with one another. And we don't just talk about this. If I remember, Joachim Löw after 2018. So when we cross paths with other coaches, we have a bit of a chat. But I'm not going to be asking the hows and the whys. Everyone is looking after their own team. What were the other questions? I don't know. The interpreter apologizes. The journalist is not using a microphone. The interpreter cannot hear the questions that are being asked. I'm not looking at anyone in particular. So we, regardless of what we all may think, we have backing. And obviously there are people who are not as happy as, in fact, but after the last game, everyone was happy, even though there was a little bit of tension. It wasn't a game that was open. It was very tactical. But obviously, we'd love to win 5-4, and it would be maybe a little bit more interesting for the people watching if we were winning 5-4. Emotions run high in these types of games, and we want to share these emotions with our fans who make their presence known, and even the ones who are sitting at home watching TV. We know that our game was at 6 p.m. and you guys are working, people are working. So it's your job. It's your job to ask me questions. My chair said, "Oh, there are lots of questions asked about you," and I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, but you're doing your job. I'm not here to tell you how to do your job." The criticisms have always been part of my daily grind. When I was a player, or when I was a coach, or I was a coach of a national team as well, as is the case now. If I look at the good old days, maybe I wasn't the same person I am now, but it's all part and parcel of the game, and it doesn't prevent me keeping a cool head. Let's just take one last question. Thank you very much for the opportunity to ask a question for Portuguese national TV. I'm going to be speaking in Portuguese.
Historically speaking, historically speaking, France has beaten Portugal whenever we meet in knockout stages in Euros or World Cups. It's always tough games decided by the one goal and always on added time. Do you think it's going to be the same tomorrow?
I don't know if it'll be the same thing tomorrow, but these are very high-level games, so obviously it could come down to not a lot, the capabilities on both sides to be able to make that difference. There are lots of qualities in the Portuguese team, as there are with us, and they're part of the best European teams, as are we. And I am convinced that it will be a great match tomorrow. And historically, yes, it's always been scores that are quite tight, but when we get to this level of a competition, it is rare to really see huge landslide results. We know that Portugal are capable of those high scores and us as well, but I think that this will be a great quarterfinal, and we know that there's another great quarterfinal at 6 p.m. as well. Thank you very much. We've got an open training session at 6 p.m., 15 minutes for media.
Thank you very much. We will be back here for the Portugal press conference at 19:45, and before then, France are training